and you're on.
So when I first started going through the recruiting process for my son, I really quickly realized that I had no clue what was really out there. I knew about NCAA D1. Obviously, we see that on TV. We all know about it. We see websites, we see blogs, we see everything. Everybody's focused on D1. But I realized I had no clue just how much D2, D3, I didn't even know about NAIA at the time, really. I'd heard of it vaguely, but I'd never actually watched an NAIA game before. And I certainly had never heard of NCCAA or USCAA. No clue those existed, but I also just didn't even know how many schools with baseball there were in the immediate area around me. And I live in Philadelphia. We've got literally hundreds of schools with baseball within a couple hours of my house. Um,
Absolutely.
so as we got into that recruiting process, I realized I was going to get myself into a deep dive because it's just what I do. It's just a habit. If I don't know something, if I feel like I need to know something, I do a lot of research. I get into it. So I did. And I started getting, pretty up on what was going on in those different divisions and associations, and learning more about JUCO. And I realized that in that process, that if I didn't know it, there's probably thousands of other parents out there and players out there that didn't know it either. And so I was like, well, I'm just going to start this group and just post some stuff about these different ways you can play college baseball. And I interacted with Heather on other pages where she was a member, and knew that she was very knowledgeable. She was in the process with her second son, the recruiting process. So I knew she was very knowledgeable. Also, that she was a college professor. So she has that little bit of that inside track. Um, and so I think I was maybe a couple days in, and I was like, "Hey, do you want to be a moderator and help me out with this group?" And so that's how Heather came into it. And she kind of has a similar mentality, I think, where it's like you've got to open your mind to the fact that it's not just D1, and that you've got to be trying to find the best fit for you, trying to find, you know, the place where you're going to be okay and happy, even if you get hurt and you can't play. Um, and I think she's done that with her own boys in that process, like really pushing, finding the right academic fit, finding the right fit socially, location wise. Although I don't know if she's thrilled that her one son is halfway across the country all the time, but that was the right fit for him. So that's where he is. Um,
And guys, just filling people in. The group that Kevin and Heather do is CBTOS. It's called College Baseball: The Other Side. And coming from me, I think it is one of the finest groups that I've been part of and comment in and try to help people in. And it's more about Division 2, Division 3, NAIA, JUCO, USCAA, NCCAA, and all of these baseball opportunities that are out there. It's about 99% of the baseball opportunities out there. So I mean, if you want to see some really great information, Kevin and Heather have done a fabulous job with this group, and I love being part of it. So that's why I invited them on here. Hey, let's promote this group and let people know exactly you know what college baseball is like, but below the Division 1 level. So
yep.
there you go. There's my plug for you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd say credit to Kevin for the idea for this group because, we interacted on other groups where, it would they post the D1 rankings or everyone was talking about D1 baseball and like no one would post the D3 rankings for that week or, or even recognize that, like there were D2 or D3 teams. And so like when he had the idea for the group and I joined and was, kind of following along, it really was great because it showcased all of these other ways that you can play baseball and even club baseball. I think that's one of the really great parts of our group that Kevin continuously highlights club baseball as an avenue for athletes who want to keep playing, but who maybe want to go to some of the big Division 1 schools where they're not going to make the team, or if they want to major in engineering or pre-med where you can't necessarily do baseball and have that kind of commitment. And so really promoting that as an avenue as well as I think is really awesome. I mean, a lot of my commitment to this page is really like seeing it from the academic side and like seeing how much parents don't know, and you don't expect them to know that because you're not in the admissions process, but I see it from the other side and the financial aid side. And so like I know like this much about baseball, but I know a lot about the admissions and the academic side, and so that's where I try to contribute.
Know something that is just so great right there, Heather. I will tell you what, I've sent tons of kids to Division 3, and they all started out as, oh, Division 3, but there's no athletic money there. And I'm like, guys, you have no
There's
idea.
money.
Number one, there's huge academic money at these D3 schools. That's how they are
Mhm.
able to compete and everything. And like one good story, and I had a kid in Pittsburgh at Shady Side Academy when I was coaching there, and the kid went in. His family worked there, so I mean he was good going to this private school. He came in his freshman year and he did absolutely horrible academically. He had a hard time adjusting and all. It's not that he couldn't do it. I think that it was just kind of rough, the whole environment, and he had to get used to it and everything. And they were gonna kick him out. And I'm like, no, you know what? Hey, give him another year, give him a chance. So the next year, wow, that kid's a 3.5 to 3.7. He ended up graduating with a 2.4 grade point average,
Mhm.
and his final two choices were coming down to a Division 2 school. And Division 2s, they're the ultimate. Okay, they're the 50-50. I mean, that's how the schools put that on the athletic department. Okay, we want everybody to basically be about 50% and pay 50% and everything. But it was a good school, and so they were actually looking at taking this, and I'm like, no, wait a minute. I said, there's the Division 3 school that the coach loves them, and he's like, Tom, man, it's a and I'll name the school. It was Allegheny College up in Meadville, and very great academic school and everything. I'm like, Coach really wants him. Let him work. Let him come back with his offer. 3 days later, his dad calls me on the phone. He's like, "How did you know that?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "Well, they got with us today. It's like 92% of Nick's uh, school is paid for." I mean, they did good. I mean, Shady Side Academy was great, and they took that into his thing and took him into part his last 3 years and did it that way. But what people don't know is there's other things at a Division 3 school that they're not athletic scholarships, but they're
Mhm.
the Heather Grant, the Kevin Grant, the Tom
Yep.
Grant, and it's all from donors and alumni, that it's money donated to that program to be used through that program. And
Yep.
he's like, I have this other page over here that they sent me with the finance thing, and there's another $8,000 on there. And I'm like, it's not an athletic scholarship, but they're giving you grants that they have, and everything like that. So I mean, he couldn't believe that. But I think one of the big things, and what people really need to realize, is difference there's not much difference from the top tier D2s to D1 schools. I
Yep.
mean, I played at the University of Charleston. Uh, my freshman year, we played West Virginia, and
Hmm.
we were D2. I went up, shut them out, and we won the second game. They didn't play us again for another 12 years until I was actually back there coaching. We went up and beat them again.
Hmm.
And then it was 17 years after that. And they won this game 3-2 in extra innings. But I mean, like my one kid that went to WVU, JJ Weatherholt, who's with the Cardinals now, he his mom called and she said, Tom, I never knew that Division twos could play like that and had that quality
Hmm.
of talent. And I'm like, I've tried to tell you. I
Yep.
said, the good teams and all that. I mean, you see it all the time. I said, that's why Division ones won't play them. It's why Division ones won't play top tier
Yep.
JUCOs because number one, they don't want to have losses like that on their resume.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. Well, and I see it all the time because I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm based in Pennsylvania, even though I'm obviously in Florida right now. But
Sure.
yeah, with the PSAC teams, we've got some great baseball, and um, yeah, I mean, I would love to see more interdivision and inter association play throughout the year. We're starting to see a little more, and I'm kind of hoping that more people start kind of pushing for that and asking for it because I think that it would really help show people that um, you don't have to go to a top 100 or top 150 D1 to play great baseball. I mean, I'm a big ratings guys over rankings, and so I look at the ratings, and you've got probably a dozen schools right now, at least, that are kind of in that top 150 that are not D1 schools. And I mean, I have fluctuates obviously, but there's at least one or two schools right now that are D2 that are in the top 100, I think, in the ratings.
Yep.
So, you see that, especially like a Tampa or well, I was going to say Pittsburgh
Angelo
State,
State,
but I was going to say that
Pittsburgh State. Yeah.
but they seem to be coming up against a little stiffer competition now. So so we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, definitely Tampa for years now. Has uh, people have joked and said that it's a D1 lost in D2.
It,
you know,
it
so
could be.
yeah, so it's there's definitely great baseball happening, and even beyond D2 and D3, there's some phenomenal baseball in NAIA and definitely in JUCO, even beyond D1 JUCO. I mean, the excitement and competition that you see even in D3 JUCO in my area right around New Jersey and Pennsylvania. We've got the three-time national championship team right across the river from me. And when those guys play, they play. And I think they would give a lot of D1 teams a run for their money. Like, so, some of those lower level D1 teams, they would for sure really give them some good competition and probably beat some of them. And they have a lot of players that go on and play D1 baseball, even from that D3 JUCO.
The D2 JUCOs going down through Maryland.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean you have Garrett, you have Frederick, you have CCBC,
Yep.
all these schools. I mean, I talked to all of them, and the funny thing about it, when I left Pittsburgh 2 years ago to come down to Texas with my wife for her job, because I could do my stuff anywhere. I mean, they everyone up there's like, Tom, send us information on
Hmm.
Texas kids. We don't get them. And Texas kids, it's hilarious. Pennsylvania kids will leave the state in a heartbeat.
Hmm.
Texas kids will not. They think that it's so big that there's always a position for every one of them, and I hate
Which
to
is not
tell
true
you,
at all. Yeah.
Even though the some great D1 JUCOs and other
Mhm.
JUCOs down here, there's not many D3s and there's
Yep.
not many D2s. And like, case in point, just Pennsylvania and Ohio, guys, 91 Division
Mhm.
three schools up there,
Yep.
and they all play baseball.
Yep.
So I mean, it's a great opportunity. I mean, I've opened some eyes in 2 years down here. I have a lot of my kids leaving the state now and finding out, wow, I'm leaving the state and doing better than what
Mhm.
in-state tuition would be for the state of Texas. But yeah, because these guys are interested in you. You have great grades and
Mhm.
you can play. So I mean,
Yeah.
hey, go play.
Well, and if you look at the roster of almost every team in the Northeast, I mean, I think I could go through every Pennsylvania school and every New Jersey school. You will find at least one kid from Florida, at least one kid from Georgia, at least one kid from Texas, probably, or some other state, in that area. I mean, I'm finding California kids on some, which is crazy to me because there's so many schools in California too, and their JUCO system is so great. But I'm finding California kids on JUCO rosters on the East Coast.
Know
You
why
know?
that was? That's all from the COVID years when
Mhm.
everything got shut down and they gave them the extra years. I had
Yeah.
clients out there and they hadn't played in over a year and a half,
Oh
played
wow.
practice or whatever. I would be over like I'd be at a softball tournament in Ohio and they're like, Coach, where are you? Where are people playing? I'm like, yeah, I'm in Ohio.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that really stunted because I had one kid there who's actually at great Division 2 now. It's a California. Uh,
California,
oh man,
University of Pennsylvania. Yeah.
no, this is out
No.
in He's out in
Oh, okay,
California.
out in California.
And I'm going to tell you what the kid is 6'6", 225 pounds, swings the bat. I mean, the ball just explodes.
Mm.
And the whole thing about it, I mean, for those years he wasn't playing, it really took away from this kid being seen. And that's the only
Hmm.
reason that he's out there. I mean, he's a Division 1 player. He's a draftable kid,
Yeah.
and he's going to do very, very well. But I mean, I just really am excited of how you guys run your platform and show everything. I mean, I tell people the story of Mason Miller. I watched him all through high school in Pittsburgh grow up, and got very little innings, even though he threw 88 miles an hour. He played at a good school that always had pitchers. Winds up going to a little Division 3 Waynesburg right down the road from him. Well, the kid grows 5 inches, puts on
Hmm.
45 pounds of constructive weight. Next thing you know, he's up throwing 97 and all that. So I mean, and he gets hooked on with Coach Chester down at Gardner Webb Division 1. And I mean, he's like one of the rags to riches stories that there is. And now he's probably one of the top two or three closers in the game.
Well, and if you look through the bullpens of almost every major league team, you will find guys that did not play D1 baseball or didn't start at D1 baseball. Or maybe got drafted out of D3 or D2 or an NIA school. Like you see it all the time. You gotta dig in there a little bit and see where those guys came from, and you realize that you don't have to play D1 baseball to end up playing professional baseball if that's your goal. And if you have the talent, that's a huge factor. But
Sure.
if that's your goal, you don't have to play for a top 100 D1 school or a D1 school at all. And you can get there. It's just a different route to take, but you can get to the same place if that's your talent level and that's your goal.
I think one of
Yep.
the great things about our page, though, is that we also have a space for the kids who aren't at that top level who
Mhm.
like D1 is never going to be their goal. Like they
Yep.
know where they are and they're solidly like they're good baseball players, but
Yep.
they're never going to be a D1 baseball player. And you see on a lot of the other pages, so many people are like, well, if you're not throwing 88 or 90 in high school, then you're not going to get recruited
Right.
to play college baseball. And I like our page because it encourages, like, okay, you can throw 83. And there's probably a place for
Yep.
you. You just have to know how to market yourself. You have to cast a wide net, and you have to figure out a coach who wants to take a player like you.
Mhm.
Sometimes it works out for players. If they don't want to cast a wide net, sometimes people have certain majors or want to be close to home and then maybe clubs for you. But for kids who can find the right fit, it can be great. You don't have to throw 90.
Yep.
You don't have to be like the hitting, lots of home runs. There are spots for people to play who want to play college baseball, who know how to market themselves. And I just hated the like because I know my older son, undersized, we were going through his recruiting process coming right out of COVID and everything we read online was so discouraging.
Mhm.
And so, having gone through that process, I hate seeing other parents getting all of that bad information when they have kids who are solid baseball players. And, some of them just say, all right, like, forget it. I'm not going to try to play at the college level when they probably really could. And so, like, I really like that we're that encouraging place for those kids who are solid baseball players, but never the stars.
Yeah. Well,
You
my
know what? What a great point, because I'm going to tell you what, all you got to do is go on field level, because I'm on there and friends with, I mean, it's one of my databases that I have. I mean, I have so many that come in, and yeah, I have a great setup of ways to get kids information to many, many schools really, really fast. And it's come from, just the time that I've done it. But you go on field level, I can't tell you how many recruiting needs I see. I need a
Mhm.
kid that throws 82 to 83, that can throw other pitches. We will develop them. And I'm like, here you go. It's opportunities. But one, Heather made a great point right there. You know, my thing is, if you're a player and you know what, yep, I just want to go play. I mean, you give
Mhm.
me 4 more years in the sun where I can go and get my college degree at a university that's going to take care of me for the next 40 years of my life and all that. And that's my niche. In all seriousness, yeah. Do I have kids in the MLB? I got MLB All Stars all the way down through every level. But I'll tell you one thing: those kids, do the percentage of kids that I get going to top line places, they might, there's usually a problem. It's usually an injury, or it's usually a growth problem to where, okay, my kid's grown 6 inches and put on 35 pounds in the last year, and this is what he can do. Can you get him exposure? Because usually those kids don't need it. The colleges know who they are. As soon as one big guy hears about it, all the other ones are. The ones are, like I said, my niche is D2, D3, NAI, and all those schools right there, and finding that right fit. And when I talk about it, I'm like, we need to have three boxes checked. Number one, the school wants you, they've laid out a plan for you that you're happy with, and they are happy with. So we have that going back and forth. Second is academics. I can't tell you how many kids get fooled into, they want to go into this major study. Well, we don't have that, but we have something just like, I see her shaking her, something just like it. And you go there and it turns out this is nothing like what I
Mhm.
wanted to do. So then unhappiness comes. we hit the portal, or we're looking to hit the portal real quick
Mhm.
without any college resume or anything like that. And I'm like, you know what? That is the, and I tell my guys, I'm like, be very wary. I'm like, you need to go where they have what you want to do and you know it. And the third box is you have to like the campus and you have to like the whole atmosphere where
Mhm.
you are. How many kids nowadays do you see they commit and they don't even visit the
Yeah.
school? And I'm like, listen, uh, that's where, well, and it's a dad thing, but it's really the mama bear will come out in me right there, and it's like I'm turning my son or daughter over to you, and there's no way I'm gonna do that without being there, having eyes on, and talking directly to you
Yeah,
and everything.
it blows my mind that anybody would ever commit to a school before they visited it. I just it you should be there talking to coaches, you should be talking to players that are there. You should see that school, see the area around it, not just the school, but see where you're going to be living. Um, and that should just be like an automatic. There should never be anybody committing to a school if they've never been there. It drives me crazy. But also I was going to say that the portal drives me crazy because I mean, you see parents talking about the portal and on our page a little bit, but more so on other pages, like it's just a normal progression. Like you
And
should want like your goal should be like to go
that's
in,
what,
play
yeah,
someone a
that's what
year,
it's
jump in the
become.
portal. I know for a fact that half those kids in that portal are there because they got cut, first off. The other half different reasons, but half of them are there because they got cut. And half of those kids don't find a new opportunity to come out of that portal. So you go in there without a plan.
Don't know how
It's
many
it's
times
a
I've
huge
shared it and
gamble.
tried
Yeah.
to tell
It,
people.
it's just a big gamble.
I'm like, you, at one point you had 10,000 kids in the
Mhm.
portal. And
Yep.
I
It's
said,
really
well, I said, there's 5,000 kids right now. And it's usually a little bit over
Mhm.
50%.
Yep.
And it's like, and I'm like, your pink slips for baseball are coming
Yep.
because you're not going to play. The other thing is, people think that once you go in the portal, somebody's going to pick you up,
Yeah. It doesn't
and
happen.
you have to go back out on the recruiting trail and sell yourself
Yeah.
unless you're one of the, an NIL baby or a big kid at a
Well,
big time school.
and I've talked to coaches at JUCOs, coaches at D3s, and they've point blank said, I tried the portal and I didn't like what I got. So if a coach cares about their team culture and they care about controlling their, the influences coming into their program, they don't want to pick up some kid from somewhere that they don't know anything about him. They don't know whether they can trust the team he's been with to have developed a good culture within him. And so I've had, several coaches say to me, "Hey, I tested the waters with the portal, and I got a kid that just destroyed my team." He said, "I would rather get a high school kid, develop him, put that work in, because then I maintain the culture of my team. I don't have to worry about some kid that left a school because he wasn't happy with his playing time coming in here, and then he's not happy with his playing time here and being a negative influence on the whole team because he's upset about his playing time, or he gets here and then realizes he doesn't really like the school, or he doesn't like his teammates, and then he's creating a negative influence in the team." And so that they've said, everybody says, "Oh, everybody's using the portal." No, even at D1, you will see coaches that will not touch that portal. They may have a kid that they talk to and then goes in the portal because that kid knows that they've got a place to go already. And that's, you see that more with the top teams where there's clearly the conversations are happening
which
before the
which
kids in
is
the
which is
portal.
breaking every rule in
Yep.
the
Yeah.
NCAA book. It's
Yeah,
called
exactly.
tampering.
Yeah,
So
but you don't, but those a lot of those coaches, they've tried the portal and it didn't work for them, and they've gone back to focusing on high school kids, or what they always did was trusted JUCOs, a coach where they know the culture is what they want, the players are what they want, so they trust that program to produce kids that will be good for their program. So they're going to go to that trusted JUCO. So you see transfers, yeah, they're transfers, but they're coming from a JUCO that coach already trusts.
yeah,
So the whole idea of, oh, I'm just gonna, if I don't like it, I'll just jump in the portal. No, don't
yeah.
do that. I mean, go
And
ahead,
coming
Heather.
from
Un,
the coming
unfor, un,
from
Go ahead, Heather.
I was just gonna say, coming from the student side, it just like as a faculty, when I see parents say like, "Oh, if he doesn't like it, he'll just transfer,"
Mhm.
and all I can see is wasted credits,
Yep.
and wasted money. Because what often happens is even if your credits transfer, they don't necessarily work for your major, and so sometimes then you end up with, and there's nothing wrong if it takes you 5 years to do your undergrad, but like if you're transferring three, four, times like some of these student athletes do, then you end up with like 6 years towards your degree, and or getting a degree that you didn't really want in the first place, or a degree that's not going to be worthwhile for you, and you spent a lot more money than if you would have made a good decision in the first place. And I have no issue with kids transferring when they need to and
Right.
making wise decisions about it. But it's kind of the idea of like, oh, if I don't like it, I'll just jump to another transfer. And that's very different from I'm going to use JUCO
Yep.
to move into a 4 year. That's the pathway. That's the way it's supposed to be. But when they're like, oh, I'll go to an NAIA and then I'll transfer to D1. I mean, a 4 year, that's not the normal pathway
Yep.
for most student athletes, or it didn't used to be, and it still shouldn't be. One, for academic reasons, and two, as Kevin noted, for sports reasons. I mean, I work at a D1 mid major that's a high academic program, and we have very few transfer portal students coming into our baseball program. And the ones we get, most of them are coming because they're grad students. So the coaches aren't going in the portal looking for, all of these other kids who didn't make it at other D1s. If they go in there, they're looking for a grad transfer who wants to come and get a master's degree or something like that. Most of their recruiting is still coming out of colleges, or JUCO colleges or high school students.
Yep.
Well, and the thing is, and I've heard this. I've talked to a lot of like mid majors and in the Division Ones. You're absolutely correct. The way that they're coming into those schools is there, but the mid majors in these other schools feel like a developmental league for the Power Fives.
Hmm.
That you have kids that come in and do well at that mid-major thing and all that. Here's where the tampering and
Yep.
everything else comes.
And it happens.
Believe me, I've had clients, and that they'll tell me, but I'm not going to put it out on the record and everything like that. But I'm going to tell you what, these big time conferences and everything, how do you think? It's so funny. It's like all of a sudden you see, okay, the kid entered the transfer portal, and 10 minutes later, well, he's out
Yep.
at this school with this deal and all. I said, guys, this deal, I think the greatest thing that I've seen was Dabo Sweeney on there talking about the football kid that he had that came in, was taking classes at Clemson and being courted by another guy when he's not in the portal and everything like
Yep.
that. And I'm like, it goes on.
Yeah. There's kids.
So many people think that every rule in the NCAA is abided by,
Hmm.
and everything. The NCAA right now, and Heather, I mean, you can nod or shake your head. number one, the only real job the NCAA has right now is just to keep the eligibility of the student. They're not going to sit there and determine anything accountability wise and everything. 6 years ago, guys, I put out this is exactly how it's going to be. And the power fours and all that, I hate to tell you, within a year, will no longer be in NCAA. They're going to be minor leagues for the other people, the mid majors and the D1s are going to be the top of the rung. Now, hopefully, they get back to doing stuff the way the NCAA should.
Yeah.
It's so funny. The other day, I was watching Nick Saban talk, and he mentioned something that I've been saying for 2 or 3 years now. I'm like, hey, guys, when we talk about college now, I said, here the one word we don't talk here and talk about education.
Hmm.
It's all about this, that, and the other. Number one, it's why I won't get. I've had so many people, Tom, you got to get in the NIL thing and everything like that. I'm like, won't touch it. I said,
95% of student athletes are there for student first. Their career is
sure.
not, it's probably actually bigger than that. Their career is not
It's
athlete.
more than
It's going
that,
to be,
Heather.
yeah, it's going to be something other than
Mhm.
athlete. And so that's why when you're having these conversations, it really does have to be about picking for the student first. The athletic part is something that's going to enrich your life while you are a student and allow you to keep doing what you love for a little bit longer. But that the athlete part isn't going to be your career or your life.
Right.
Oh, smart. Yep. But yeah, I mean, I was saying people laughed at me. Now they're like, Tom, how did you know this? Well, I knew people on the NCAA committees. I know ADs at big schools and everything like that. I knew they were talking about television contracts and how to do this. For them, it's
Yep.
all about this. And how can we make money, keep the money coming in? You know, I'll tell you right now, do they love paying these athletes? Absolutely not.
Yep.
It's that's why right now you have thrown the cart out before the horse, and that's why you have total chaos or the wild west as far as nothing being done, people just doing this and doing that, and it's sad. It's sad for everybody. But you know what really drives me nuts? Guess who's paying the price for it? Division 2, Division 3, and NAI. How many how many Division 3 schools have you seen go belly up now and everything like that? And it's a shame. It's a shame. I mean, I argue and with because I used to coach at one of the branch campuses for baseball for Penn State, and it's seven now, but there's seven now, but they're going to close nine of the 13 and all that. But yet the big boys all still have money, and all these little branch campuses that were such a great it was such a great recruiting tool for me because I'm like, you come and you play baseball here, guess what? You're getting a Penn
Yep.
State education, which means absolute. I mean, you don't go into this tier, you go
It
into the
doesn't say
big boy
Altoona.
tier.
It says Penn State. Yeah.
Exactly. And you go into the big boy pile when it goes to looking for jobs and everything else like
Yep.
that. And
Hmm. They don't know. They
you
don't
know,
know where you went unless you have a conversation about it. They just know you went to Penn State.
and I can't tell you the the toll it's taken on the women's collegiate athletics or and those sports that are non-revenue sports. You keep see I see all the time. Well, we're getting rid of seven sports here, or this school's getting rid of this. And the worst part about it now, not only that, they think that Oh wow, okay, guess what? Now every Division 1 school where the rosters are going to be 34, so we are going to have 34 full rides. Yeah, I'd love to tell you there's
Not
probably
even
20,
close.
20 schools that can pull that one off. The rest of them might not have the 11.7
Yeah.
because they didn't have them in the first
Yeah.
place. I mean, when I saw the other day Rutgers, $518
Mhm.
million in debt since joining the Big Ten, UCLA, Ohio State, Texas schools. Guys, you know what? I mean, people are going to go belly up, and it's just a shame. And it's all because you saw a way that you thought was big money for you, and before figuring everything out, you're like, okay, we're just going to go with this. what
Yeah.
you did what they did really was, and it's what SMU got the death penalty
Yep.
for football. Number one, you threw it out there. Okay, go ahead, guys. Just hey, how much can we pay this person with the collectives should never come into it. Name, image, and likeness. And I will tell you one thing: there's a lot of big people that are getting this NIL stuff. I've never seen one commercial or one appearance or anything that they've
It's
done. So
boosters.
yeah, it's
It's
paid
old
for
school
play.
boosters, what you used to get in trouble for. Exactly. That's all it is. Well, and something that kills me is people don't seem to realize that the NCAA is not some like government organization or some private organization. It's a member run organization, which means that it's athletic directors, school presidents, coaches, athletes even are on those committees making those decisions. And I see people talk about it like this, the big evil NCAA doing this and doing that. And it's not some private organization. It's member run. So everything that happens is those member schools. So when you see like, oh, they're just grabbing for money, it's the schools. It's
Sure.
the schools that want that money. And unfortunately, right now it's backfiring on a lot of them because they, like they say, they jumped in too deep before they knew how to swim, and now they're paying the price for it. And you've got major schools, which the a couple, I guess it was a couple weeks ago, I posted the profitability of college sports, and it absolutely it was like I was rage baiting people. People thought that I was like rage baiting, and I was like, no, it's got nothing to do with that. And I'm really glad Heather then posted the breakdown for baseball that actually shows you there's money in baseball, but it's actually the lower levels. It's D1 that's losing money. Everybody else is doing all right, you know. And it was great.
because
But
yeah, because number one, they don't sit there and rely on a budget that's given to them. No, those guys go out and work and fund those top tier schools and everything like that. I guarantee they're all great fundraisers and everything like it. I've seen. I know Millersville, okay, was watching them play Concord here. I usually have a game on the TV that's MLB or whatever, and I watch Division 2, Division 3, and NAIA ball on my computer. And I was watching them play Concord from down in West Virginia. Coach Sheehan's he's a master, and that's why he has the program and the people that he does. I mean, facilities are nice. Program culture always first rate. I give him a lot of credit, and he's a Division 2 guy that doesn't have a huge budget and all that, but you know what, he goes out and he goes to work for that program.
Yeah, if we can like pivot on facilities here, I think that that's the other thing that we'd like to showcase on in our group is that there are amazing facilities everywhere across college baseball. And there are also really bad facilities at the D1 level. And so, division or, conference doesn't necessarily equate to the quality of facilities. And so, Kevin will post and showcase things about like, here's a gorgeous NAIA facility that rivals something you'd see at a D1 program. Here's a really great, D3 turf field that's, up in Vermont. But it is a beautiful facility that you'll get to play at. And so I think that that's also one of the things is sometimes people think like, oh, D3, we're going to have really awful facilities. And so that's why we don't want to go D3. I mean, that's go to the campuses, do the virtual tours, look at those facilities because it doesn't always equate to there's no money in athletics. Because as you said, some of those schools are really fundraising well. Some of those schools have really generous donors who are committed to a particular, part of the athletics program that can really buy into it.
Yep. Well, and you
It
see
well,
that.
the crazy thing, you guys all know how good the University of Maine is. I've had some of my Division 1 kids talking to them, and they're like, "Coach, that's in Maine," and I'm like, "Have you seen the 88 million indoor facility that they have?" And I said, "You realize there's MLB players coming out of University of Maine."
And have
I
you
said the
seen
Maine
Maine
Black
in
Bears
general?
play baseball. And here's the other crazy D2, D3s that are up, mid Atlantic, Northeast, and everything like that. Oh, coach, the weather. And I'm like,
Mm.
guys, listen to me. Do you realize now that these guys are spending their first 2 to 3 weeks? They're down in Florida. They're down in Georgia. They're out in
A lot of
Arizona. They they've adapted and they'll spend it there and come back and yeah, it might be a little cold to start out with and everything when you get back, but it's not like you're going to be sitting there like a Charlie Brown character staring out the window at just 2 feet of snow. You're going to travel and play.
Well, and I'll tell you this. It, my son grew up playing baseball in Philadelphia, and we have played a lot of games in 40-degree weather over the years, the beginning of the season.
Believe me, I know
And you
from
know what?
Pittsburgh.
If a bunch of 9 and 10-year-olds can do it, a college kid can handle it. Trust me.
Evan, you want to know how it when I was at Mars, when the Bednars and JJ were there, and we had some really good teams, and that we always started out, we would go to our thing was, yeah, we'll go to Myrtle Beach. And
Mhm.
we'd go to Myrtle Beach, get down there, it'd be 30 degrees,
Yeah.
windy as could be, rainy and all that. And you look back up in Pennsylvania, oh, it's 55
Yeah.
and sunny up there. So I mean,
You never know. You never know what you're
yeah,
going to get.
it's kind of crazy. I know last year, I mean, everything it got bad again. But I mean, I don't know how many years, and I would tell, I'd be looking at the coaches. I'm like, what are we doing down here in South Carolina? We could be
Mhm.
playing. And I said, I come to South Carolina, and I'm when we were at Penn State Greater Allegheny, we had a hurricane come through.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow. I mean, and then couldn't play because the lights on the fields had been blown down and exploded
Yeah.
all over the field. So they had to go get all that glass off of the field, all those little pieces.
Well,
Just crazy
and
things.
teams make it work. I mean, Heather and I often joke about the northern Midwest teams that'll be the other schools in the rankings will be 10, 12 games into the season and they've played one maybe if they've played at all. They make it work. They figure out. They play a lot more double headers probably than a lot of other schools, but they just start their season a little later and they figure it out. They make it work. They still get all their games in. And it's there's a compromise in there,
And
but
they
those
may
places,
start bad because they haven't had the field time that
yeah,
the
but they
people
also all
have, but
have
they pick it up.
yeah, but they also all have good indoor space they can work in too. A lot of especially now, more and more we're seeing even D3s and D2s, we're starting to see essentially infields inside. They're developing because they're like, well, we can't get outside and play yet because there is snow on our field. Or I saw SUNY Niagara shoveled their field. The guys out there, and that's what they used to do in Maine too. Before the new field, they would go out. The team, the part of their workout for that day was shovel the field. They'd
Hey,
go out,
I was
shovel the
watching.
field.
I was watching them down in Tennessee and North Carolina. I
Yeah,
watched Jim Chester at Gardner Webb. He had his kids out there shoveling their
yeah,
field off, and I'm like,
yeah.
"There you go." I
That's
said,
a
"You
good
finally
workout,
got me to
man.
Pittsburgh."
That's a good workout. Get that shoveling in. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
people they make it
something
work.
I guess you didn't go to Gardner Webb and think, "Wow,
No, you
I'm getting called in for snow duty."
Yeah, but it's happening more. I mean, just think it was just last week. My friends down here were saying it was 35 here in Florida, you know,
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
see just walking around, there's a bunch of plants that are dead right now because they got frozen a week or 2 weeks ago, and
Ours did
they were
down here in
postponing
Texas.
games. They were postponing games because it was too cold for them to play,
Yeah.
which is true. If it's below 40, I think it's too cold to play, but that's just me. But they make it
Oh,
up. They make up those
boy, I'll tell
games.
you what, there'd be a lot of games that we'd have had to cancel on that. I'll tell you what, at Penn State Greater Allegheny, told my wife, I was like this. The one year I was like, I'll bet you three-quarters of our games had snow and
Gosh.
it didn't get to 40 degrees.
Well, that's
And
the,
it
the
was tough.
SUNY Niagara is probably a similar situation. I mean, they're still getting lake effect snow almost every day up there.
Oh, I talked to UB to Buffalo, yeah,
Yeah.
Canisius, and all the other schools and all that up there, and they're like,
Yeah.
yeah, it can be bad. I
Yeah.
mean,
They
my
make it
daughter
work.
went to Penn State Bayer, and I'm like, you picked the
Okay.
snow belt of the U.S. to go to.
Well, and the interesting part is like at the D3 level, you'll see some of the top ranked teams are the schools that are in the upper Midwest. I mean, the Wisconsin teams, because those are bigger state schools, but also you'll see other schools that are in like the Northeast or the upper Midwest that are ranked at the top. I mean, like SUNY Cortland is another example of a New York school that, it's cold up there for quite a while at the beginning of the season, and they're continually one of the top ranked programs in D3, just as one example.
Well,
I
and
mean,
it's
you
all
can
those.
sometimes see Bates is does well. Middlebury, I think, is right now up in Vermont is ranked near the top of the D3. And so those Northeast schools they're competing. Whether they have to go down to play in Russ Mat at Florida or some of the other tournaments, they're getting the games in.
Yep.
Hey, I'll tell you what, I mean, I played and coached against a team that was a dynasty in D3 in Marietta, Ohio. And I'm going to tell you one thing, Coach Shalley and all those guys, I forget the coach's name. He just left there. I mean, he had a bad year, but I mean, they won so many Division 3 titles, and it was all about the culture. I mean, it, they this is a Division 3 school, and we used to play them in the fall when I was coaching it at University of Charleston and playing. You'd go up there, it looked like an old Nebraska football spring thing. They had 130 kids out on the field. They practiced during the day, they would play at night. And during the games and practices, you'd see coaches pointing kids out, calling them over, kid walking off the field. Yep, you're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. And that's how that they did it like that. But they also brought in great talent. But the other thing is, they ran probably one of the greatest walk-on tryout programs I have ever seen. Hey, if you think you can play, come, show us. And they did. They gave you your shot, and I mean, I try to tell people, they're like, well, they have this kid in front of me, and he's been there, and I'm playing very well. And I'm like, guys, you have to remember one thing. When a college coach has a proven commodity in a player that he's had that's been there and helped him win for 2 years, you're not going to beat that kid out. You got to go hit 900 and have 8 bombs in the false and all. And then they're going to say, let us find you another position and get your bat in the lineup. You're not going to knock that kid out of his spot. That's just how it is. And
That's a huge thing right there. If you can, for high school kids, if you can develop versatility before you go to college, learn how to play multiple positions, because if you do that, you give yourself more opportunities, but you also become more useful to a coach. If you can play two or three positions well, you're going to have more opportunities to get in the lineup, but also you're going to have more opportunities to get recruited, because that coach is going to say, well, a kid that a true utility player that's really good at two or three positions is something everybody wants and can use. If you, especially if you can hit, and you can play two or three positions, you're going to get in games sooner than that kid who might be a outstanding shortstop, but he's got two guys in front of him, you know. So build versatility at a young age. And I like I still I'm an assistant coach at a high school, and I've coached youth baseball, and it drives me crazy when I see someone say, "Oh, you're a first baseman." First off, unless you absolutely mash, that's the kiss of death. You don't want to be a first baseman only playing first base trying to get to college, because there's not a lot of places you're going to get to. Um, but just don't lock into a single position when you're still really learning the game. I mean, even high school baseball, you're still learning baseball. Even college, you're still learning baseball. You're always learning in baseball, but especially at those young ages, you're 15, 16 years old. Ask the coach to take reps at another position in practice, especially if you're really good at one position and you know you're going to play at that position anyways. Ask to take reps in another position and learn it, because that versatility is going to open doors for you, just like great academics is going to open doors for you. Those are the things that people don't think about. They're like, oh, my son's a great shortstop. Okay. That great shortstop's going to go play in a team with three or four other great shortstops. And guess what? He's a freshman. They're juniors and sophomores. If he can also play corner outfield really well, he's got a better shot at getting in that game sooner. You
sure.
know, open those doors for yourself as you're developing. And I'll just say it. Coaches, don't lock your kids into positions in youth baseball. Make them try every position, make them learn multiple positions, because you're opening a door. And I would say even in travel baseball, you got 16-year-olds, make them play different positions sometimes, make them learn different positions, because then as a travel coach, you're helping them have a better shot at playing college baseball. And I assume if you're still playing travel baseball at 16 years old, your goal should be to play in college. I realize that's not always the case, but if you don't have a desire to play in college on some level, whether it be a high profile college program or just NCBA playing club baseball, if you don't have a desire to keep playing baseball in college, it's hard for me to understand why you're paying a lot of money to play travel baseball. Go find yourself a Legion team or a Connie Mack team or a Babe Ruth League team and go play there. You're still going to have that camaraderie and fun and competition, but you're I didn't really plan on getting into this, but I guess travel baseball is just a big fundraiser at this point in a lot of cases. And I realize, hey, I have no problem with coaches trying to make a living, but if the goal isn't college baseball, at some point you got to look at it realistically as a parent and even as a player and say, why am I doing this? I could just go have fun with kids from my community instead of, you know, meeting up once a week for practice with guys from
Having
2 hours
having my
away.
anonymous parent posting in groups about playing time and about coaches and this,
You
that,
know,
and the other thing.
even if your goal is college baseball, you really have
Yeah.
to think seriously about what you're putting your money into with travel baseball, because for again, unless you're that top percentage of the player where you're going to go somewhere to a perfect game tournament and people are going to watch you, most of the kids going to those things, people aren't there to watch them. And so you
Yeah.
have to think about how much am I paying to drive up and down the East Coast or to
Yep.
drive all over Texas or the Southeast
Fly,
to
fly.
play these
Fly,
games.
yeah.
And if your family, like, I'm not going to throw shade, if your family has the money and you love it and that's your
Yeah.
vacation, then like great, go for it.
Yep.
But if you don't have to. Like, we played almost exclusively like regional games.
Hmm.
A lot of times one of my sons did not play travel baseball. Sometimes we would play on really good rec team in our area, or a legion type team, because he got playing time and we
Yep.
didn't have to run up and down the East Coast. And what do you need when you're getting recruited? You need playing time, you need reps, and you need film. You don't
Yep.
need to travel and be in XYZ tournaments that nobody's coming to watch you at.
Yeah. Yeah. That I would say that 90% of the tournaments my son ever played in, there was no college coaches there. Well, and to be honest, even the team showcases that they did, a lot of times it's a showcase and you'd have a couple college coaches there, or you'd have a graduate assistant that was getting paid $50 to go sit there during the day with a clipboard and act like he was paying attention. And half the time he wasn't. Mind you, if he saw a kid that came out there and lit up the radar gun, yeah, he's going to pay attention to that. But unless you hit a home run or
Ran a
you're
six
throwing
three
gas,
six, ran a 6.360,
yeah, they're not
or
noticing.
started popping the glove at 88 and above.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you
Yeah.
have my
If you do
attention.
something eye-catching, they'll pay attention. But even at the big showcases where there's a lot of coaches, we've talked about it before many times in the group. Even in those situations, unless those coaches already have some knowledge of you, like you've connected with them through social media, or a coach of yours has made a connection with them, or they've heard about you because you just were lights out in a state championship game or something, they're not paying attention at those big showcases. They're not really searching for the kid they've never heard of before. They've got a list of kids that they go there to see. They know their schedule, and 9 times out of 10 those coaches are going to those specific fields to watch those specific kids in that. Now, if you're at that game and you stand out in that game and you weren't on a list, yes, that's a situation where you will get noticed and a coach might write your name down and try to come talk to you after the game because you hit a ball 480 feet or something, like they're going to notice those kind of things. But if you just have an average game and you're not already on a list that somebody's looking for, I mean, maybe if you're a pitcher that goes out there and throws consistent strikes but doesn't light up the radar gun, that's a situation where you might get noticed because you go out there and you strike out the side 5 innings in a row, even though you're not throwing gas, then you'll get noticed. But there's very, very specific situations. In most cases,
Very
if you're
rare
not on
does
the
it
list
happen.
before the game starts, you're probably not going to get anything out of that. You're just spending a lot of money running around playing the game, the youth baseball profit game, basically. And it doesn't help you necessarily. So you got to know
You,
what you're walking into.
you see me putting my hands up like this, and I'm going to tell you one thing. I could have given you my hat, my jacket, and you could have been me speaking to parents. Absolutely right there. Number one, um, yeah, let's go back to the whole cost thing, and as Heather would say, you have to. Everybody's, wow, we're going to this PG, we're going to this, we're going to that. Number one, every week those PG facilities bring in 200 to 500
Mhm.
teams from all over the nation that are all calling themselves elite and everything. Listen to me. There's 2 to 3 fields where all the college coaches are going to be down there. And those really, really national teams are going to be playing on those fields in front of those coaches. You're going to be out on field 64 somewhere. How many times have you heard them complain about the facilities? And you know what? There was one college coach in the stands. Well, guess what? That night you just got welcome to probably the biggest money maker that there is. That's why they're huge, and that's why
Yep.
they can do this week in and week out. And my kids get recruited to great schools. They don't. I'm like, you don't need to go there. Just go play your thing, bring up stats, give me stats. Let me tell your story. Let me tell you the story about you as a skill set ball player, you as a person, you as a student, the family story, and your character, and everything that a college coach talks about.
Yep.
I talk to them all the time. It's so funny. And I've told people, you know what, in 17 years, I haven't had one college coach ask me a metric. Oh,
Hmm.
what's his spin rate? What's his exit velocity? They're like, okay, Tom, from everything you've seen in the film yeah, I like what I see. What's he like as a student? Oh, he's a 3.94. This is what he wants to major in. Oh, good. We have that program that I can talk to him about. And then they'll talk about that. They'll talk about what's his characteristics, what's he like on the field. What am I? And when I lay eyes on him, I mean, I want to see. Wow, Tom's correct, man. This kid's a hustler. He's this. He's that. The other thing is, you know what? I will be like, yeah. There's times where he can, get a little lazy and everything like that. We're working on it. I talked to him about it. Number one, and parents have to realize I got to be honest. I gotta tell them what I see in your kid, not what you see, because you're going to see all the great stuff, and that's what you're going to talk about. I mean, you're not gonna come in and say, well, he's in the on deck circle talking to me all the time, and getting his everything else. That'll all come out. So
Hmm.
let's talk about it and everything.
Oh,
But
you said
the other thing about it, you hit the nail right on the head. Everybody thinks that showcases and camps are discover mode things. No, they're not. They're what they are is they're eyes on events. When I was a college coach, I'd be going to a showcase and I'm like, okay, let me get this list. Let me see who on that list I know and want to take a look at. Wow, there's 8 kids out of 200. I
Hmm.
am there to look at those 8 kids. If you think I can evaluate all 200
Right.
kids that are there, and the worst thing is there's like, well, Tom, there's 30 coaches there. Guess who all 30 coaches are there to see?
Yeah.
Those kids right there. So the other 190, here's your t-shirt. Thanks for your $350 and everything like that. They send you home. One of the biggest things, I go to showcases and I'm sitting there with the college coaches and we're watching kids run the 60 and half of them 8.5,
Jeez.
8.3, 7.9. And I'm like, number
No
one,
chance.
you're just disqualifying
Yeah.
yourself right there. And coaches are just sitting there. You can see them. They're like in the post. Well, the coaches look bored. Well, no
Yeah.
crap. I mean, you
If you're
have
not impressing them, they are bored.
yeah, you have that. And the other thing is you go to the pitching. I don't know how many kids are there throwing 73 to 75 miles an hour. Okay, that that's not going to get it. You
No.
have to be a certain thing and everything like that.
There's
And
some baselines, unless you're an anomaly that, does something really impressive at 75.
And
There is a
exactly.
certain point you've got to be over.
And I will tell you what, yeah, there's always that 1 to 2
Yep.
kids in that showcase. I'll watch this kid fire a cannon from the outfield, and oh man, he runs 6'6". Yeah,
Yeah.
let me put him on my interest board and everything like that, and see what kind of let me start a process with him. But you know
think
what?
that was I think that was one of the biggest education pieces we had when we first started the process with my oldest one is like really understanding and figuring out the camp process. So not necessarily the showcase process, but like the college camp process and understanding the difference between like, hey, here come to camp and come to camp because I've actually had a real conversation with you. I've been in prolonged either email or text contact. I got on the phone with you. I've had comments about your videos. That's a real come to camp
Yep.
because then the coach is going to put eyes on you. No, it doesn't mean you're going to get an offer because, you know, there's going to be probably 5 or 6 of those kids that they invited and you maybe don't get chosen every time, but at least you're guaranteeing that when you're there coach has eyes on you. And that's when I started to like it clicked. Okay, now you know how to target the camps, and that's so important for parents instead of just saying like I'm going to pay for 40 camps this summer. No, I'm going to target the like
Yeah.
6 or 8 camps where my kid has had genuine conversations with the coaches where I know eyes are going to be on him.
Well, and we
And
push that a lot in our
here's
group.
where I
Yeah.
here's this is where my success is exactly what you I get you. I have probably 4 showcase events that I use and all of them, and I will usually be there in attendance.
Mhm.
College coaches, all and they're big events. There's 70 to 100 college coaches that are going to be. Here you go, guys. I'm going to be here. Here are my kids that are going to be here that you need to have eyes on. Bam, Tom, we'll see you there. I mean, I get there at 7:30 in the morning, and they're all here. Okay, that go over this and everything else. You hit the nail right on the head. Number one, I mean, how many times do you see that I'm going to this camp because my son or daughter, are interested in this school? And my first thing is, are they interested in you?
Yep.
Well, that's what we're going there to find out. No, unless you get, and the other thing are the spam emails, and believe me, they're easy. The mass mails are easy to pick out. I always tell my clients, my players, hey, screenshot me that thing, and let me see who it came from and all that. Yep, I've been talking to them. This is right on. They would like to have you there. And yeah, Heather hit it right on. That doesn't mean an offer.
Yep.
We're interested.
You
We
got to
want
earn
to
it.
see how you're going to be in front of our staff, the way that we run things,
Yeah.
and everything like that. So I'm going to tell you what, there has been such a great amount of good information. I think that you guys have put out here, and all that, and any which way that I can help you guys. I mean, like I said, I'll keep commenting in the book. I try to keep it as nice as I can. There's sometimes you just have to be honest and say,
Yeah.
you know, or something like that. And if I can help kids, or they want me to sit there and work with them, I'd love to do it. But you guys are the greatest. I love your group, and I love your group because I can tell that you're you know what? Don't give me the bonus babies. Let me get in there with the everyday people, and this is where 99% of the action is going to be. 1% go to the elite schools, probably a
Yep.
little less than that right now. So
For sure.
you guys are trying to help 99% of the community, and like I said, it's just like those opportunities. Well, I got to be, I'm an average player, but I can only be 2 to 3 hours from home. Well, you're taking away 99.8% of the opportunities that, you know, could come from somewhere else. And, if you don't want to do it that way, then yeah, you probably have the wrong person because you can contact those 2 to 3 hour schools and everything. I'm a nationwide guy. I put you out nationwide because number one, I want to get you the most offer or the most contacts and offers that are out there so that we take your recruiting funnel and we bring it down into, okay, now I have these 3 to 5 schools that I really like and everything. And the whole thing is by doing it that way, parents or the kids can't leverage offers. I can call the coach and say,
Mhm.
man, he really loves your school, but there's somebody out here that's offering six grand more a year for them to come there. Is this the best that you can do for them? And I've done that. You usually don't have to, but I mean, the other big thing is just opening up their eyes. Okay, guess what? You're not a pen. You're not like a pen or a pencil point out there. There's so many great other schools, and it's so funny. You'll start getting them, and they're like, Coach, I had no idea that this school was there and they had facilities like this. This has me a little psyched. I'm going to go on and research the academics now and everything. I'm like, that's what you're supposed to
And
do.
that's
You're doing what I want you to do.
yeah, and that's really the goal of the group is to open people's eyes to everything else that's out there that we don't hear about a lot, and just let them know that there's options. If you want to play college baseball and you're a good baseball player, there are opportunities out there that you've never heard of before.
Sure.
Well, hopefully now you're hearing about them. But if you're in our group, hopefully you're hearing about them. So, it's about opening eyes and trying to break through some of the noise and some of the assumptions because a lot of it's assumptions.
Yep.
Like
You're
like
absolutely
I
correct.
it does. It's not a week that goes by where somebody says something to me like, "I would have never thought that about X school," or "I would have never thought I can't imagine a D1 that doesn't have TrackMan." Well, you know what? I know for a fact there's a lot of D1s that don't have TrackMan in their stadiums, if they even have a stadium. A lot of them are using, there's schools out there using public parks. They don't own a stadium, or they have a field, but no, just some bleachers. And people don't realize that. And every single week I have an opportunity to say, that's just not real. You're going off of an assumption or seeing the top tier of D1 and you think, well, it's all like that. No, it's not. And so that's the biggest thing if we can do in this group is open eyes to different opportunities. Let that kid that doesn't fit the 6'2", 200 pound, the assumptions that you have to be a certain thing. If we can break through some of those assumptions and let those kids know that are really good baseball players but maybe don't fit the mold you see at top tier D1s, there's still opportunities for them to keep playing baseball in college, and they can also do a very rigorous academic program and still play baseball if that's what they want to do. It's not a it's there's not really a one way that any of it has to be done. And there's
Oh,
different coaches will take a different stance. Some coaches will be like, no, baseball's your big commitment and you're focused on my program and you're doing and whatever the easiest degree program you can take if you come here. And there's other coaches that will say, I guarantee you at Hopkins, there's some kids in some very rigorous academic programs playing varsity baseball because the coaches there understand that that's what it's about. They're student athletes. They're not just athletes.
Yeah,
I
my
have.
son is a science major and he has 3 labs a week. And plays Division 3
Yeah.
baseball because he's at a public honors college where the coaches understand that academics is part of the experience.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, you try to schedule it so you're not missing practices, but they get it. Like no one ever said you can't be this science major because you have 3 labs a week.
And if a D3 coach is saying to you, baseball is your focus, they lost the plot. They forgot what the school is there for. And maybe that's not the coach for you if you're an academic kid, because
Sure.
like that's the whole thing with D3 typically is that they're a little more student athlete focused than athlete focused.
Well,
Typically.
I have one of my former players, and very smart kid, went to Lafayette and then
Mhm.
transferred from Lafayette to Quinnipiac, but he's
Just had
now
a
the
big win
coach.
this week. Lafayette.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Um, Crazy thing about it, he's now the head coach out at Caltech.
Okay. Yeah.
And I will tell you what, I did an interview with him, and he was telling me about the standards that you had
Mhm.
to get into school there. And I said, I have some really good ones, but I said, big guy, I said, I honestly, I don't know how you guys can recruit. It was I said, how you can find, and he's like, my roster is 25 kids.
Mhm.
And and I'm like, you tell me where you find the 25 that fit that mold. I
Let me
mean,
tell you what they do, Tommy. They show up at, so my son actually was contacted by Caltech. They will
okay.
literally show up at these big showcases where they know that the kids with high GPAs are. They'll sort the GPAs and they will start, even if the kids haven't talked to you, that's the one place where they will notice you for something other than baseball because you have to have that GPA
High
and they'll ping
academics.
your
Yeah.
kid, they'll ping the kids with the high GPAs like, hey, any interest in Caltech? Because they're looking for a certain GPA and a
Sure.
certain SAT score. Because the help they can give you at those top schools like MIT or Caltech to get in is very, very minimal. Like you really have to, and I don't know how they recruit. It's so hard.
Oh, I
Um,
mean, he had me flabbergasted. But I'll tell you what, Heather, one of the great showcases that's out there, and I'll give them a little promo here. Head First Honor Roll showcases. I've had a a lot of my kids are really, really good academically, and I'm like, guys, I'm going to tell you what, it's a little more of expensive of a showcase, but it's probably the best run showcase out there. Number one, they actually have like a job fair there to where the coaches have tables, and in between your workouts, you go sit down, meet with them, talk to them about any interest you may have there. They go over your resume and everything with you right there. I think it's absolutely great. And I've had kids do, you know, committing to Case Western and some schools like
I
that
yeah,
that are
we
really, really great players. But you know what? You hit the nail right on the head. I'm not going to be an MLB guy, but Case Western, great D3 and all that. They do well, and their academics are going to definitely put
Was
me in
that
a great spot to be successful.
Heather was the head first is the one that you kind of gave a review
So
of.
yeah, so
Yeah.
we actually did that is the
We
one
should bump that
showcase
in
the
Pete.
one
Yeah.
showcase that I will always say is worth it if you do it right. And by do it right, you have to have reached out, you have to be on those coaches lists and they have to know you're going to be there. But we were super impressed because like you said, they had time to talk to the coaches. My son had and they when they say there's head coaches there, the head coaches really
Head
are there.
coach is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my son had time to talk to all of the head coaches that, he was on a list of one on one, like it's short little interviews. I call it like coach speed dating, kind of. The coaches they will ask you ahead of time. So if you're in touch with them ahead of time, they'll say like, "Oh, what games are you scheduled to be in?" And they will make sure because I sat and watched, and the coaches that my son had been talking to, right behind the in the dugout or right behind home plate, watching those games. The other really good part is that those head coaches coach some of the games
Hmm.
that the students are playing in. And so you have the amazing opportunity to be coached by someone who's potentially recruiting you. And you can all of a sudden find out, like, there were some coaches where like, yeah, not a good fit for me. And there were other coaches where I really like their style. And so that's a really cool and unique opportunity. Yeah, it costs a lot of money, but also you can be seen by, if you're talking to 10 or 12 schools and you would have had to go to 10 or 12 different camps.
There's a huge
Yep.
reward that could come out of there. Yes.
Yeah, we did my son did a showcase at Eastern University here in Pennsylvania, and um, it was a similar thing where the coaches were actually coaching the game. The coaches were actually calling the game. Like they were out, next to the pitcher, umpiring the game. And there was a bunch of PSAC schools there, a couple JUCOs, and Eastern's entire coaching staff was there. And they were really fully interacting with the kids through the game. We had a couple kids come out of that with one of them actually ended up committing there to Eastern. Um, and a couple other kids got some real conversations with coaches in that led to a visit, and maybe I don't know whether they led to offers or not, but and if you can find showcases or camps that are that situation where you're going to have multiple schools at them and you've connected with coaches from those schools or even some of those schools, those are the most valuable camps because those coaches are not just watching you, but they're actually interacting with you to in the dugout, on the field, to see your personality, see your demeanor, see your character, how you prep for the game, how you warm up. Like they're fully immersed in it as if you were in a game playing for them. And those are probably the most valuable. We did some other team showcases. We never did an individual showcase anywhere because I just never saw the value in it. But we did some of those team showcases, and it's the ones where the coaches were watching, they're okay. We had one kid, our shortstop, got talked to by a few coaches after one of the games because he had an outstanding game, ended up getting a visit and an offer from one of those schools. But not a single kid on the rest of the team got talked to, even though some of them played really well. But it's because they had no connection and they didn't
Sure.
really draw their attention. So just a bunch of coaches sitting there watching baseball. They're only gonna talk to you and notice if they see something really special. But those
So, I
those
mean,
those ones
yeah,
where there was the actual direct interaction and involvement, those were the ones that I would say are really valuable. But like we always say, what Heather always pushes, what I always push is make contact first. Know that that coach has some interest in you before you're investing your money in
they have to
something
know
that
who
it
you
costs
are.
you, three, 400, 500, however many $1,000 in some
Yeah,
cases.
if you show up at head first and you haven't made email contact with any of those coaches, you just wasted $1,500. I mean,
Exactly.
that's all you've done. And you maybe you had a nice weekend in Long Island or Florida or wherever you went,
Yeah.
but
Down in Fairfax, Virginia.
yeah, but you didn't get the full benefit of the head first
That's
experience.
those what is it? The one of those tournaments in Georgia where you're people think they're playing one place and they're scattered all over the state. They're
Oh
driving
God.
3 hours to play a game and nobody cares. Nobody's paying
Nobody
attention.
cares. Nobody's there. Yeah.
The
Well,
parents
this is
care because they
this is
paid,
this
but
is this is crazy because I'm like this, and I'm going to do a little thing for me if I'm allowed. I mean, I put it out there. I said, you guys go out. I said, don't tell me that you spend, like 500 or $1,000. Number one, you're spending 2 to 3 grand to be on the team. Then you travel. You're traveling all over the country. Okay. Uh, if you're in Texas and you go to Florida, I guarantee you that's 1,000 to a 200 to a $2,000 just weekend trip for you and everything else like that. So that weekend trip that you did right there, number one, if you hire me to sit there and help you, consult you, guide you through the recruiting process, pays for you. your kid's a sophomore in high school. You have me all the way until not until you get to college, until you graduate from college. If you need a summer team to play on, I'll get you play. You call me, I'll get you placed. I mean, this is how it goes. The other day, I had somebody contact me. They're like, "Hey, coach, you need to find us a summer team that only the only place he can play is if they have a track man at their facility." I said, "You're asking me probably
Oh goodness.
what when there's hard it's hard to get a roster spot. Now you're asking me this, and I'm like, why does there need to be a track man?" Well, his coach needs to see results. No, I said, yeah. eh, Tell his coach that he's going to play for the wrong reasons in summer if he just wants to see TrackMan results
You
and
can
everything.
you can hit a ball 120 miles an hour on the ground and it doesn't do anything. The metrics
Uh,
the metrics don't necessarily mean success on the field. Yeah.
exactly. So, I mean, I was, I'm glad we got our 10 a.m. start time. That was my fault. I came on and I looked at my phone because I had my phone in my office on the charger, and I see Heather's like, "Man, I've been in here." And I'm like, "Oh, was this 10 a.m. Eastern?" Because I thought it was Central, but
Yeah, we're both
I'm so
Eastern.
glad that I got in to talk to you guys. And I know that this is going to be lengthy, and I'm going to post it on your thing. Do me a favor. Tell parents to watch this, to just listen to. There's been so much great information about ways to do things and everything else like this. And I mean, the caring that you have, Kevin, you, Heather, as an academic person, God bless. I mean, because I'll tell you what, I mean, I work with a bunch of people all across the nation. I have mindset coaches, I have performance strength training, and getting the academic people in there. And I'm like, you may want to talk to them because, in all seriousness, when you go through the recruiting thing, I always tell my people contact admissions and contact finance too, just so they know everything. And I said college coaches will usually tell you to, hey, you need to be in the, give them a call. We know them, and we're going to let them know that you're calling and everything like that. So
At the end of the day, that's really what it's all about. If you're
sure,
going to college, if you're investing money in college, you got to be you got to realize the student has got to be a little more important than the athlete. And that's the most important part at the end of the day, because like you've said throughout this, 99% are not going to make a living playing any sport. So at the end of the day, it's about finding that right fit. It's about finding, the place that you're going to succeed academically. And also, it's cool if you can play a sport while you're in college, that's great. But at the end of the day, those first two, the right fit academically and the right fit outside of the academics is really the most important part. There.
I always worry about a kid, and you guys can give me your thoughts. But it's like, okay, you want to go D1 to where you're going to sit 2, 3 years or something like that? Or do you want to go to these D2, D3s that want you and they're like, we want you to come in and compete for a
Yeah,
starting spot right away and everything. I mean, and if you're telling me you're willing to sit there 2 or 3 years, I question you as a player a little bit.
yeah,
I mean, players, I'd be like, I sure as heck don't want to go sit there and sit for 2 or 3 years
yeah.
and have that. I mean, just tell me, hey,
I could see
I
in a
want you to
year.
compete and play. Come in and earn a spot and start you know, helping our ball club right away. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Well, and if
but
and if
guys,
you just want to play baseball, Like if you're kind of a middle of the road player and you just want to play baseball, there is absolutely nothing wrong with finding a school that has a JV team and just saying, "Hey, I want to be able to play baseball even if you're only going to play 10, 15 games a year." There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with playing on a JV team. There's nothing wrong with playing on a NCBA team. In fact, I would say if I had to choose, I'd rather play a school with an NCBA team and play NCBA ball because they actually are playing for something. They
Yep.
have playoffs. They have
Yep.
a college World Series for each of their three divisions every year. So at the end of the day, if I'm choosing between a JV team somewhere or going somewhere that has an NCBA team, I'm gonna take the shot at trying out for that NCBA team. And some schools, like Penn State main campus, for instance, has three NCBA teams now, one in
I
each
know.
division. So
Yep.
they got,
Some of these NCBA teams are super
yep,
competitive because
mhm,
we know several families whose kids were like all met, all state baseball, and just wanted to go to, Clemson, Virginia Tech,
yep,
NC State, and their kids play on the club teams, and they're very, very competitive
yep,
club teams.
yep. It's a great way to play if you really want to play in college and you want to go to a specific college or you have a specific major that's very demanding. It's a great way to play baseball.
Absolutely. One more thing before we jump off, I will tell you what, uh, and this is just another option. I have post grads that are all over the nation: California, Texas, Florida, Carolina, and everything like that. Um, for those kids that are a little undersized or anything like that, I will tell you what, I've seen what post grads can do that are run correctly, and they will put the weight on you. They will develop you. You're going to play against some serious talent, so you're going to see if you can play, and then they will help you go. Just another
Yeah.
option, guys.
We don't
Just
we don't
another option.
we don't typically talk much about post grads
Sure.
um because it's not college baseball necessarily. But there's definitely some post grads out there that do it right, that do demand that their athletes take some college courses, that are really doing the right thing. Unfortunately, there's some that are not, that are just making money. But
The
you
ones
know,
the ones that I
yeah,
will send you to, they're all affiliated with colleges to where you are taking academics,
okay,
and
yeah,
it's all part of the curriculum and
yep,
everything like that. So that, yep,
yep. And we have no issue with those places that are doing that. If they're as long as they're doing it right and doing right by those kids, then I have no issue with it. I just wanted to make sure we kind of made
yep,
people aware that that's something you got to make sure you know what you're getting into, and also be aware of
absolutely.
like what the potential is because we've seen some kids that go to post grad and they had offers better than what they ended up with after the post grad because they didn't go to the right post grad.
I
Yeah.
can see that. It's just like people will be, I seen a thing. Oh, don't pay for a recruiting service. They're all scam artists. They're used. I'm like, guys, listen to me. That's not the case. And I made a long comment in the one group the other day. I'm like, some of you people are lawyers, some of you are teachers, some of you are this. I said there's good and bad in every
Yep. For
phase in
sure.
life. The
Yeah.
thing is to sit there and you know if you need help, there's good people out there to help you.
Yeah.
And that, I
And I
mean,
think
that's
I think Heather's used somebody.
I'm not an NCSA that'll call you and pester
Yeah.
you
Stay away
every
from
day
them.
of the week. Uh, you know what? It's like, hey, here, DM me
Yeah.
if you're interested. And if I don't hear from you, That's
Yeah.
fine. I
Yeah,
mean,
Yeah,
it
I
may
think
be
who did you use somebody just for like some advising, right,
yeah,
Heather?
so we got some advising through someone we knew through Baseball Factory, whom my husband had played college baseball with. But yeah, there's definitely like you can totally do it on your own because
Yep.
that's the direction we went with my second son, with my first son, because we didn't know what we didn't know. And it actually was really useful to just uh, like that's how I learned a lot because the advisor, taught us this is how the process works and this is the way to do it. And it's also, I think, helpful for families who do have the financial ability to do it, um, who maybe don't necessarily have the time to do a lot on the research end because it really is time consuming for both the player and the family to do a lot of the research. And so for families who, want that assistance or that guidance,
Yep, for sure.
it can be really valuable. You can also do that on your own. And so there are different ways to go with it. But yes, I think Tommy, your point is completely correct. Is there are reputable recruiters. Then there are people who just are out there to take your money and aren't going to really do anything to help you other than what you're already doing on your
And
own.
we've pushed some people towards, a couple different recruiters that we know have a good reputation, and but we tend to shy away from letting people advertise and letting people use our group to try to bring in business because we don't want to be connected necessarily with, oh, they told me I should go use so and so as a recruiter and that guy screwed me over. We don't want to be in that situation. So
sure.
we tend to tread very lightly with that with recruiter stuff because most people could do it themselves, but if you have the means and you want help, yeah, absolutely. But find somebody reputable. Don't just because some guy says on, we see it all the time. Guys commenting after somebody asks a question, they're like, "Well, reach out to me, I can help you." Some of those guys can help you. Some of those guys are just looking for a quick buck. So you got to be really careful, and you need to ask around, who people have used and who's reputable,
Yeah.
who has a successful history of placing players and where those players end up. Like you said, you're sticking with them through college. You're not just getting them into college. See, that's important because
It's something that a lot of other people won't do. Number one, if I did your recruiting and you need to go in the transfer portal, first thing I'm going to do is go back to work. Number one, I got to go back to work for you now
yeah,
because just because you enter the portal doesn't mean you're getting picked up or something somewhere. And the other thing, like I said, summer teams, man. Anyway, I, I try to help in any way. My big thing is I love to establish those relationships that when they get out and their successes in life, we're still talking on the
mhm,
phone. Uh, you're calling me, you're using me as a reference. A lot of kids want to come sit there and be a rep for me or a bird dog or something like that. And everything and learn how to get into the game. It's so funny. It's hilarious that they'll come in and it's like, okay, let me teach you. And they're like, hey, coach, I've gone through this. I said it's changed since even when you've done it and everything. I said you have to be open. I said you got to work. You got to enjoy what you're doing. And I always tell people, I'm like, college recruiting is probably the most hated thing that college coaches do. Most of them don't like it because it's time consuming. It takes away
yeah,
that they just want to
yep.
coach. And I love the recruiting thing because I looked at it as a competition. I'm trying to beat everybody out for your services. Let me tell you all about the good that we can do for you and everything like that. And that's how I always went about it. And
I saw
uh,
somebody the other day post a comment about you didn't need social media, and I was thinking 10 years ago, sure. But I was like, if you're trying to get recruited to play baseball now and you're not using social media to your advantage, you're lost in the woods. Like you got little hope unless you are that kid that stands out amongst anyone they play
My
against, you know.
clients and my players have great social media
You
accounts,
have to.
and that's be. I mean, I'll get on there and I'm like, you haven't put anything on there for 2 months. I mean, you know what? Got to have when I'm sending updates out and I'm sending your social media profiles and everything like that. See, that's the thing. I mean, where I'm different is you have the kids reaching out and you know, the kids can only do so much so quickly. I can sit there and do so much more. And I'm like, sit back, relax, play your sport, bring me great stats, great grades. Let me get you the contact. When I get you that contact, you have to take it over. There's where the consulting comes in, coach. How do I answer this question? I get those all the time. The coach is asking me this, what does he mean? How do I answer? And I'm like, I won't do it. So you
Well,
know,
and that's one of the things where I think like we see sometimes people will say, "Oh, the parents shouldn't be involved at all. The kids should just do everything." Not every kid is ready to do everything themselves. Even at 17, some kids are not ready to do all of it themselves. Yes, the kid needs to actually be the one reaching out to the coach. The kid needs to be the one talking to the coach. Parents should never do that. But I have no problem admitting that I helped my son with his social media. And I also have no problem telling you that I've had coaches compliment him on his social media presence because I helped him. If
helping
he
that.
was doing it by himself, I guarantee you he would not have gotten the attention he got. He would not have gotten complimented on it, certainly, because I've seen his friends' social medias and it's they don't know what they're doing, and their parents clearly aren't helping them, and that's makes it harder. This whole process gets harder if you're not using social media well.
It's the guidance and the mentoring. Like
Yeah,
help them edit their emails to make sure that they're sending something that's like coherent. It doesn't
100%.
have grammar mistakes. Help them like how to put together a correct social media post.
Yep.
Yes, they should be running it, but that doesn't mean like, oh, I just walked out of the room. Like you're
Yeah.
involved as guidance.
If and
Yeah,
you know what, if you
yeah.
have that kid that is there maturity wise and can do that all the time, great. I mean, I'm thrilled for you if your kid is that far
Oh
along that they
yeah, I
really
mean,
can do it all.
I have a
But
few, but
most
they're, you
can't.
know what? Most of them, most of them, it's like, okay, here. They will send me. They'll send me. A lot of them send me their posts before they put them out. I'm huge with or their emails, and I'm like, I am huge on if you misspell words, if you don't use correct punctuation, number one, your email is going to go right out the door just like that because they're like, this kid's not even taking the time to sit there and write me. I mean, he's writing me a sixth grade email and telling me he's ready for college
Yeah.
and everything like that. So I'm like, there's so many more important facets that than people realize to the whole thing.
It's also a great teaching opportunity. It's a great way to teach your kids how to handle email professionally and be adults, It's a great
Honestly,
teaching tool.
it was like the best way to learn how to do job interviews because like once you start to get that like you're doing the outreach, you're sending your materials, and then once you get that first outreach from a coach and the coach wants to have a phone call, like these kids, they're 17, they're 18 years old.
They don't talk on the phone.
They don't know how to talk on the phone and have a conversation. And so again, that's another guidance point with you like, okay, what types of questions should you ask this coach? Like, what do you need to know from the coach? And then help them think about, like, all right, what should you be prepared to answer from the coach? And
My,
yeah, they're
my
going to
son,
stumble around the first couple times.
That is their most nervous
Yeah.
yep,
point that they will
yep.
is that first thing they're like, well, what is he going to talk to me about? And I'm like, just be yourself. I said, yeah, be yourself. I said, you have to be personable. Yeah, yes, coach, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, whatever it is. And I said, the one thing you don't want to do, you don't want to be the one word wonder.
Yeah.
Answer in
Okay.
complete sentences.
Yep.
Oh, I went on a visit with a kid one time, Heather, and it was a basketball visit. And the coach is asking, and the kid's sitting there. He's like, yep, yep, no. And I'm like, hold on a minute. And I got up and took the kid out. I'm like, listen, big guy, we got to do a little better than this. I said, and coach knew what was happening.
Yeah.
He's like, he got the smile on his face. Kid came in. Oh yeah, I didn't realize. He said I was just trying to be vague, and
Yeah.
I'm like, no, you answer him specifically with
Yeah.
how he wants you
Yeah. My
to
son
sit
is
there and
really
do stuff.
shy when you first meet him. And he's got a huge personality once you get to know him, but he's always shy in that first meeting. And the great thing was is some of the coaches were just outstanding at like bringing him out of his shell. Like they knew because they've talked to hundreds of kids over the years. They know some kids just are, they're not going to show their whole personality right away. They're not going to be as forthcoming and they're not used to being in that situation where they're essentially in a job interview and having a serious conversation yet. So it was great to be in a room with him and watch I would suggest some questions. He'd be like, why would I ask that? I don't care about that. And I was like, just try it. And he'd ask. And of course the coach would be happy because and then the coach would kind of draw his personality out because he's done that a million times before. He knows these are teenagers that aren't used to being in that environment. They're not used to having conversations with adults they don't know like that. So they understand and it's good when you come across the good coaches that know how to get that kid to open up. And sometimes the coaches aren't great at it, and and
Believe me,
it's like sitting in a
they
waiting
play their
room.
part. They play their part in it
Yeah,
too. Believe me,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
I will tell, and usually I know the coach, and I could. This is exactly where coach is going to go with you, or you know
yeah,
what, he might be wanting you to carry the conversation
yeah,
and go that way. But it's 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 so funny. I always will tell my clients, and I'm like, yo, anytime you email a coach back, always end everything with a question. Well, why? I'm like, what do you want the coach to do? Well, I want them to respond to me.
yep.
Of course, I'm like,
You're only going to get a
you're answering
response if you ask
your
the
own thing.
question.
And I said, when you do that, coaches are like, well, okay, I see him being interested in trying to establish things. Like I said, there's great key things that all go into it and everything. And I'm just really glad to have this. And we went
We
a
went a
little
long time.
long. Um,
I will say,
so
Tommy, just on that last point, that's also a great way to get a feeling for if a coach is really interested in you. Because if you ask questions expecting a response and you never hear back, it's probably a good sign that coach really isn't that interested in you. Now, mind you, you don't assume the first try that that's the case because they're getting a lot of emails. So maybe give it a week, resend the email just to
it's
follow
like
up.
now they're in
But if they're
season.
interested, they'll get back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, they will. And I just tell my kids, be persistent. They're like, I don't want to pest. I said, you're not pestering coach.
Nope.
If coach is interested in you, he's like, wow, okay, this kid's really dying to talk to me, and I'll get back to him. I'll
Yeah.
find a time to get back to him and
This
everything like that.
Yeah, the school my son's
Number
committed
one,
to was that situation. The coach
yeah,
didn't even
yeah,
respond to his first email, and it was just because he was so busy that he just kind of glazed through his emails and sees these emails from these kids and he didn't even respond to the first email. It was 2 weeks later, another email follow up, and he's like, "Oh yeah, no, I did see your email. Now I remember." And that's where ultimately he ended up committing to. So
that's
Email's
awesome.
free and they can always delete it.
yep,
That's what I always said. Don't worry about being a pest. If they don't
yep,
like you, they'll just delete it and it was free for you to send it.
exactly.
Absolutely. Well, guys, any way that I can ever help you guys, please let me know. I love your comments and everything like that, and I love the group and being part of it. And I'm this will be probably my longest edit that I've ever had on a for an interview and all that. But there's great info, and I'm gonna say, hey, just tell you the group take some time, break it down, take a coffee break, come back
Yeah.
and pick up on it, because there's really good points and really good information that can really help your kids to get to the next level and do
And
it and do it.
I'm going to use this moment to kind of tease that there may be a CBTOS podcast starting soon.
Oh, you got to have
Which
me
is
on.
news to Heather too. Yeah.
There you go. I
So
know people have been I just don't have really the time weekly. I mean, that
yeah.
recruiting's a lot, and I have a lot of people, and just doing it. I mean, my phone's been sitting here going like crazy. So, like I said, anything that I can do for you guys. Uh, are you an animal person, Heather?
Like, do I have pets or I have cats?
Pets,
Yeah, I love
pets love
animals.
animals.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just looking at the wildlife habitat, meow. I,
Oh, my
I,
background, yes.
I'm a detail oriented guy, and I'm like, okay, I see what's going
Yeah.
on.
I
I
think
have my Richmond spiders
I
here
was
for
going to
my
say
husband too.
I think the Richmond Spiders is more prominent than where you teach, and that's kind of funny.
Oh yeah, well, because my husband is a
Yeah.
UR baseball alum, so I always have my spider club up there.
Loved them. They ran some great tournaments I used to go to take my kids to from Pittsburgh down in Richmond.
Nice.
The Richmond. I also see that Run DMC thing back there over your one shoulder. I
Yeah,
love
no,
them. I went to see them way back when I was a kid. So, but anyhow,
Heather was probably literally a kid when she saw them, if she ever
I
saw them.
actually I'm older than you think. I saw Run DMC in college, so
Okay.
there you
Not
go.
that much older though. Oh
Well,
gosh.
guys, you have a good rest of your day, and I'm gonna put this out a little bit later today.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.
bye.
Take care.
Bye.